Hi class, let's take a look at the last set of problems. So take a second and read the problem. They're asking for this particular one the following. So they want a fraction for the students that represent the females. So in this case, let me first get the total. So total is going to be, 14 plus the values of 12. So that's going to be a 6. I'm getting 26 students. It's not going to be our final answer, so I'll leave it like that. Now let's look at the fraction for the females. So for the woman, we're actually going to have, there is 12 of them, so 12 over the values of 26. Most likely they're going to want us to reduce the fraction, so you could actually say that this is 6 times 2, and and then 13 times 2 will be 26. So the fraction, it's going to be 6 over the values of 13. Now your final answer would say something along the lines that the fraction that represent the woman is, in this case, 12 over 26 of students, or 6 over 13 of students. So that's the fraction. In a later section, we're going to be looking at percentages, and that would be the percentage of, in this case, women in the class. They don't specify how they want the answer, so I'm writing it as both. The software, though, if you see one problem that it's from the software, it will probably want the fraction reduced. In this case, the 6 over the 13, they don't specify how they want the answer, so I'm actually providing both of these just in case. And both of those are perfectly fine, depending on what is it that we're looking at. Okay, so that's actually it for this problem. Let's take a look at the problem 2. Take a second and read it. But this one's actually asking for the following. So this is the actual amount of the recipe that we're having, and they want to know how many of these 8 cups would be needed to use. Now, for one regular cup, you would actually have, 8 over 8, which is technically 1. So for the actual recipe, you could actually view this as 19 and 1/8, and the total number of 1/8 cups, it's going to be, the numerator of the improper fraction. So in this case, this will be 19 times the values of 8 plus 1 over 8. So I'm getting 19 times 8, it's going to be a 2, you carry 7. You're going to have 15 plus 1 over 8. I'm looking at 153 over 8. And in this case, we would need 153. The proper unit is of 1/8 cups, which technically represents your denominator. Okay, that's actually it for this one. Let's move in to problem 3. And problem 3 is asking for the following. So they give us the sketch because this one, the recipe needs 5/8, but the actual subject here, in this case Janet, only has 3/8. And then they're asking how much will they have to borrow from the neighbor. Well, they're giving us this sketch because technically each of these represents 1/8. So technically this was going to be a subtraction. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, the recipe only requires 5. So technically, it'll require 5 8s. And then in this scenario, Janet only has 3. So technically, Janet, I'm just going to put vertical bars, only has 3. So she's going to need these 2. So let me just rewrite it as Janet would need to borrow. And in this case, it's going to be 2 8s, which is 2 times 1 and 2 times 4, or 1/4. Let me just rewrite it as Janet will need to borrow technically 2 8, which is equal to 1/4 of a cup of flour. That's actually it. And let me just write it as this is my final answer. This particular problem is a subtraction. And basically what you're subtracting is, but we haven't talked about subtraction, so that's why the author provided us with the sketch here. So technically 5 8 minus the values of 3 8. And then the general rule is you can only add or subtract fractions with the same denominator. So this is technically 5 minus 3 over 8. Which represents 2 over 8, which happens to be the 1/4. And well, these problems will show up later, meaning the subtractions. So they won't provide us with this sketch. They'll just expect us for us to carry out the subtraction. But since we haven't talked about subtraction of fractions yet, they provide us that sketch. And that's actually it for problem 3 in this particular assignment.